More wine will make this better, right?
More whining, Christ.
More wine, yeah.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow.
Here we go. Good morning and welcome to the Hobby Breakfast Show. Your hosts this morning, as always, are myself, Onod. We have the Mayor.
Good morning.
And we have OT. And this week we're going to be talking about Rings of Power, some homemade profiles. Stay tuned for that. Oh, good. Right, so hobby this week. OT, you can kick us off with more Riv Nights. Have you gone insane yet?
No, I mean, to be honest, we did mention that I could have uploaded the same picture multiple times. We could just have uploaded the same segment from about 6 episodes ago and just put it in here because the same thing's happening. They are now all primed. I've done the base covers on all of them. They're nearly all based. I reckon if I actually worked at it, it would take me maybe an hour and a half, but could well be 2 weeks' work at the rate I've been going recently. I have finally run out of steam. But yeah, it'll be nice when they're all done.
Yeah, thanks to the powers of procrastination, you have a tournament in 2 weeks, and so it will take you exactly 2 weeks to do the work.
Yes, it will. It will. And on the Friday evening, I will paint like a demon and get it all done in time.
Like a golden demon.
I was
How we laugh.
Demon joke.
Meh.
I've done very little hobby. I've painted half a Space Marine, which may or may not be on the screen at the moment.
Probably won't be.
Probably not.
And just so you know, I have cut the excuse out. So that section will just be you saying, I've painted half a Space Marine. Good. And I this week have painted a single model. It's just like the most random thing I've ever painted. It's a World War I British soldier from 1914. It's a model that Warlord Games made for some reason. It's in, I don't know what scale it's in, like a large scale.
Yeah.
It is.
Cool,
it's like
a cool model.
It's a big boy. It is a cool model. Yeah, I got it as like a practice model, and also just because I thought it'd be interesting to paint. And it serves no purpose other than it's going to sit on my windowsill.
And it went to charity. You should mention the charity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes you objectively a good person, no matter what else you've done.
Allegedly, money will have at some point gone to charity in this transaction.
Wow.
Told. Not sure which charity.
No.
Presumably one relating to World War One or veterans. I imagine that would make sense, wouldn't it?
That's what you'd hope, isn't it?
Yeah. Good. Right. Our main topic this week, then. I'll let that pause out. Is we're going to
No, you won't.
I really won't. We're going to be having a look at some Rings of Power profiles that we have made, and it's going to either be a interesting and serious look or a garbage fire. Who knows which? One of the two.
Well, after we committed in that one episode that we mentioned it to 2 or 3 heroes and 1 to 3 infantry, I'd just like to point out that Onod went absolutely mad with his factions, and so we've had to step it up a gear.
I disagree. I had which naturally needed more fleshing out, and so I did that. And OT joined in because it was actually quite fun.
Yeah,
and then
it was fun for us too.
Yeah, I spent 3 hours between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. doing mine.
And just to remind everyone, nobody made him do that, and it wasn't like he was even going to be talking about them this week. Because
this was 2 weeks ago. Though.
Yeah, exactly. So no explanation as to why you decided to do that tonight.
I was starting to make meme profiles, and then OT told me that you would hate it and we wouldn't do it if I was just doing meme profiles. So
this is true. I am a vicious dictator. So we're going to be talking about today a list for Numenor and Khazad-Dum. And I think, so these are 2 lists that me and OT came up with. I think we are both in agreement that creating these profiles was more fun than watching Rings of Power.
Yeah. I don't know. I engaged with this, whereas Rings of Power, I feel like, has deflected off my skull. I'd say because I was also given the responsibility of making the Harfoots, and after Norrie, I really struggled. Like even the wiki, because it's non-canon. A lot of the Lord of the Rings wikis don't have it, so I had to go on specific wikis to find Malcolm Meadowgrass or whatever one of the fucking characters is called, which is the stupidest name I've ever heard in my life.
You've probably got a horrific virus from China on your hard drive now as well.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a Rings of Power wiki is going to be the most secure hosted website in the world.
Well, I googled it while I was at work, so presumably it's actually now the work computers that's riddled with malware rather than my own.
That's fine then, because you don't work in a sector with any secure information. So. We're going to start off then with the Faithful of Numenor, which is the list that I came up with. We're going to very quickly just run through, and then we're going to. I don't really know what we're going to talk about. I guess just kind of.
I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah, it might just not really go anywhere, and we have to fill time. But
this is going to be you reading numbers off their stat lines the whole time,
which is great content, as everyone knows.
Yeah. Onod has a very soothing voice.
Well, I'd say it's quite grating, actually.
Actually, with your microphone, it's extremely grating.
I'd say it's great. I'd say it's grating before, and the microphone just doubles the amount of grate involved.
I think I've just learned to zone you out throughout the years.
No, that is fair. I sometimes zone myself out. So
this is great content. Carry on.
It is. You see what I mean about us having to really stretch this episode out. Anyway, the Faith of Numenor. It is then the Numenor list. I actually thought this one was quite interesting when I was creating it, because the Numenor list for actual SBG is very limited, and so actually it was good because there was more stuff to include. So currently on screen will be the army composition, army bonus, and the alliances. Obviously, we'll get on to alliances when we talk about the various other lists we've created at some point. The army bonus then I created was friendly warrior models always counts being range of a hero model standout special rule. I felt like that was, not too strong. I don't know. It is quite strong.
It means everyone's in range of a standfast.
Yeah, but you still have to pass the courage test. It wasn't like an auto pass. And if a hero is in combat, then they wouldn't get standfast.
But the only way I could see you definitely abusing this is just taking like any hero and then just hiding them in the corner, and then you just get them to do their courage test at the beginning of every turn, and then everyone's fine. But apart from that,
it's not that good. So yeah, and essentially then the idea behind the list that I came up with was I wanted it to kind of have like very specialized sections around the different areas of Numenor we saw, because I thought that would be like an interesting way of building a list that I don't think has been done in SBG before, where like specific heroes and warriors interact with each other, but not with the entire army. I guess
the only example I can think of is Thranduil and the Palace Guards. Is that what they're called, or something?
I guess I was thinking that the fiefdoms list is probably the most similar example.
But then also they get their army bonus, which is that it goes for all of them anyway. So yeah, but I guess that is definitely a thing.
So Queen Regent Miriel, hero of legends, but she's not very good. I thought like it would be ideal to make her actually a good profile. So more of a buffing hero. I gave her the Plantier rule from Saruman.
Yeah.
Just I figured it made sense to just keep that standard thing. I said that she counts as a banner, and then the Palace Guards rule, where she is within 3 inches of Faithful of Numenor hero model and a warrior model, they get +1 defense. So if she's within 3 inches of the palace guard, then they will get +1 defense, and she will get +1 defense.
So they'll be defense.
So she would be defense 6, and they'd be defense 7 because they have the shield. Okay. Yeah. So that's the kind of leader profile there.
She's pretty strong for 80 points.
Yeah.
I mean, her actual stat line, apart from the strength 3, is all very strong. Attacks 2 to it's basically
great.
Well, it's basically a man captain with 1 less strength and 2 more courage. But then you've got 333. So that alone is worth 80 points. Never mind all the rules she's got.
Yeah, but a man captain would be like 50 points.
Well,
and she's pretty weak. You're right. She might be a little bit undercosted, so it might be a case of dropping her.
She's a 6-inch banner, gives warriors within 3 +1 defense, and has the Palantir.
Well, she only gives certain models +1 defense. That's the whole point in the army.
Yeah,
So
I think
you have to build her profile very specifically. I agree that she probably needs to go to 100 because she counts as a banner.
Yeah,
I think 100 is a fair points.
We'll get on then to the Palace Guard a little bit later on. We'll keep working our way through. So Elendil there. Elendil, 125 points. I essentially started with his Lotra profile and then stripped it back to being less good. So dropped him a fight point, took away some of his heroic actions.
He loses strength, doesn't he? He's strength 5 in Lotra SBG.
Yeah, I think I dropped him at a strength point as well. He's got less good special rules. So I've said that his weapons count as being elven made. So he can take a lance. I figured that was like a cooler rule than just giving him like an elven made hand and a half sword. And he is Sea Guard. So this is where like the different interactions come in. So Sea Guard models within 3 inches of a hero of that rule will get +1 to their shoot. Elendil won't benefit from this, but he
can help other people.
The Sea Guard models would benefit from that. And then 4+ shoot, so they'd go up to 3+, but obviously you'd have to keep them quite close to the things. I also docked him down to Hero Valor because I figured like he wasn't really he wasn't
legendary yet and reached his final form.
A big boy leader yet. So yeah,
should he not have resolve? Maybe, or is that?
I felt like in the show, I don't think he should get resolve. But I feel like he was conflicted by thinking Isildur had died.
Okay.
I mean, is this like at the height of their sort of attacking power when they're attacking the orcs?
I think this is meant to just reflect them during season 1. Because like I didn't make Miriel blind. I didn't give her like some sort of blind.
Yeah.
But like to me, I was just like, it's just like a generic thing. It can represent them whenever. But I didn't want to give him all the heroics. I felt like just making him more basic because he was kind of played as just being like a normal dude. So I even felt like maybe fight 6 was a bit strong, but then I was like, but
actually,
he is
later on he's worthy of it, isn't he?
He is Numenorian, and maybe fight 5's a bit low for Elendil.
Well, especially as he goes to fight 7 later. Like I think he's fine at fight 6.
We know who he is in the lore, don't we? So that's Elendil.
Yeah.
We then move on to Isildur. So
sounds good.
He's their best combat hero. Isildur then. He is based on like the slightly better captain trope, where you like give the captain like a special and a little bit more will and fey. So he's fight 5, strength 4, so nothing too special. 2/2. The special rules I've given them. So I gave him this one when he calls a heroic challenge on a 5+. It might points spent. Because I felt that was like a nice thing to give him, but something that's not too useful. You don't usually call a heroic challenge that often.
Challenge, yeah.
And then he is a horse guard, so they get +1 fight if they're within 3 inches. So he will go to fight 6 as long as he's got some knights with him. But he's only minor hero, so he's pretty.
Yeah.
Valandil then. So Valandil,
guy who cut Galadriel's sleeve or something.
Yeah, he's essentially the same stat line as the Isildur, but I gave him a thing where he could. It's a really shit name. Upgrade Knights of Numenor to elf-tested knights, and they then would count as being range of a banner if Valandil or Galadriel within 3 inches.
Yep.
It's such a shit name. Like if this was real, that would need to be changed. Yeah, so he's pretty bog standard.
Yeah,
he actually becomes he becomes very expensive if you give him the upgrades that you'd want to give him. Like you're adding 25 points onto his cost, so he'd be a 90-point hero.
I think that's okay though.
I think it's okay. I don't know if
actually I think maybe he's a bit expensive for that. Because that's Lurtz's cost.
But he would be on a horse with heavy armor, and it's that is true as well.
Actually,
and a land.
And he's horse guard, so he goes up to fight 6.
Yeah, he's fine.
On to Mo then, the shittest of heroes.
Yeah.
Independent, 1 wound.
Yeah. 1 attack.
His thing is like I said that Isildur and Valandil can use his will points to call heroic actions if they're within 3 inches of Ontimo. So he's essentially just a little Mike caddy for those two just riding around. But he would be quite expensive. This is one of the things. If you kid him out, he'd be 55 points. So he'd be a bit delicate. But he's in the kind of Eowyn range then. So
he only has 1 wound and no fate though. So any missiles are just going to absolutely destroy him.
That is true. Yeah. But I wanted to give them like somebody cheap and shit that you could throw it. Mm-hmm. And then there are 2 unnamed captains. So Captain Seagard, who is just a generic bloke who can take a bow, and then Captain the Horse Guard, who again is just a generic bloke on horse. I know that we didn't actually see the Sea Guard with bows, but I wanted to give them some sort of ranged option.
Yep. Well, when we get to Khazad-Dum, spoilers again, there are some. I've taken some creative license.
Yeah, some saltiness. So the warriors then. So you got the Palace Guardsmen, who are 12 points. These are based on the Tower White Tree Guard of the Fountain Court blokes.
Mm-hmm.
So they are essentially the same stat line, including the shields, but then obviously because they have the special rule that they get +1 defense if they're within range of Miriel.
Yeah.
So I added 1 point. I actually think they probably don't need that 1 point upgrade because Guard of the Fountain Court are defense 7 anyway. So these guys probably could be dropped down to 11 points, but I kept them at 12 because I felt like I didn't want this to be like the troop option, like the regular troop option. Like I feel like because their special rule only activates if Miriel is there, I felt like these should only be in her warband. Like that's how you build this.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to make them cheap because then you just bring them instead of the other 2 options. Whilst I felt like these 2 should be like they're just with her. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean you've got a good range of heroes. So looking at like the faction as a whole, I think it's probably fair that they're a bit more expensive.
Yeah, and then we move on to the Sailors Numenor. So these are basically the Corsair profile, but like a good version.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped them a fight point compared to the rest of the people, but they have the options for the ranged weapons. So they've got throwing weapons, they can exchange it for both free, and they get the special rule where if they're within 3 inches of the hero model with the Sea Guard special rule, then they would go to +1 shoots, they'd be a 3-up. And I felt like that was fair. It gives them some dual utility. You could take them with throwing weapons and have them with Elendil and use them as the kind of screen going forward. Or you can take them with the Captain of the Sea Guard as a kind of shooty, because I gave Captain Sea Guard heroic accuracy. So there's, a bit of utility there. And these guys are kind of like the cheap chaff of the army.
I think it wouldn't be outrageous if they had another defense. Like, I'm not saying they should, but I think if they were D4, it wouldn't be ridiculous.
Yeah, I could have given them armor. I just felt like because they're like the sailors, just for like
yeah. No, team wise, it's great. But then also, if that profile was 6 points, it would be too cheap. So yeah, but I think similar to the Palace Guard, they may be slightly overcosted for what you get, but that's probably okay with these because, as we saw when I was making mine, otherwise you just go on some kind of crazy power trip and just make your dream army.
I mean, throwing weapons are really good.
So they are really good. So I think
if you just take an army of dudes with throwing weapons, then that's pretty good, even if they are 7 points. And if they're getting +1 shoot value as well, that's also really nice.
But they'd only get +1 shoot value within 3 inches of the hero model.
The hero would have to go forward first. Yeah.
The hero would have to go forward first, and you'd have to quite carefully manage that.
Yep.
And then the final profile for the army is the Knight of Numenor. This is basically based on the Swan Knights, the Fiefdoms. So it's largely the same, but they have the Horse Guard rule rather than the Swan Knights having the rule with what's his face, his name.
And they don't get the option for a shield, do they? Because I think Swan Knights will take a shield.
They don't get the option for shield. They just have the heavy armor. So yeah, that's the list overall. They do get expert rider though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like it's okay, and I feel like Miriel being undercosted with the army is fine because I feel like the other heroes are overcosted and the troops are probably overcosted. I feel like incentivizing you to take Miriel is what I'd prefer rather than you taking a Elendil and just spamming guys with throwing weapons less, which I feel like you would want to otherwise.
Yeah. Take Miriel at like 90, 95, like maybe at 100, she's a little bit much, but I mean, the fact she's also Hero of Legends, so she gets that auto pass, and that would let everybody.
We pass works. She could be bumped up to 90. My feeling is with like her Might Will Fate is that you're not really getting much out of it. Like the Might point, you're only going to be really getting massive use out of the heroic moves. And the banner effect is very good.
Yeah.
But it's essentially the only rule in the army which everyone would make use of. And then everything else is like very specific troop to hero combo.
I think the fact she's 3 fate and a 6-inch banner is like quite powerful because with her rule as well, should be like she'll stick around, which is fine. But like I think it would just have to be.
I feel like she can go up to 90 or 95 points. Like that's like I'm happy with that. But I deliberately want her to be like a little bit cheaper because I feel like you want to take her as like the center piece that like ties the rest of the army together.
Yeah, I agree. And she's not going to be in combat. She should just be running around the back trying to buff everybody.
Support character. I based her loosely on the Malbeth guy in the Arnola.
Arnold, who gives the 6+, or is it 5+ saves? I can't remember if it's 6+ or 5+.
I think it's 5-up thing.
Because I think it's better than Fury, isn't it?
Yeah. And
that's because everyone else is shit.
That guy's only 70 points. And I felt like his rule was a lot better. So this is why I came up with her pointing. He's 70, has the same stat line, but 1 less attack. one less fight, and then only might one fate one. So I feel like actually, yeah, she should go up to 90.
Yeah.
But then I felt like her rules probably weren't quite as good as overall.
I mean, I would say the Plantier by itself is worth 10 or 15 points.
Palantir is very good.
Yeah.
But having a 5-up save is pretty...
You could make the Palantir an option and knock her cost down. So, like, if you make the Palantir like a 10, 15 point option, so that's what I made a similar thing for some of the half profiles I made, and I made it an option, which was about, I think, 10 or 15 points. So that could be a thing.
Yeah.
But then also, like, if you're taking a big cavalry contingent in this army, I feel like having the Palantir is, again, going to be quite a big deal. So most people would take it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel personally like I want people to take her. And so, therefore, you've got to build the list in a way that makes people want to take her.
Mm-hmm.
So, if she once you upgrade her, if she's 110 points and only a 2 wounds hero with strength 3,
but it is 3 fate, so it's actually 3.5 4 wounds.
She's forced into buffing, and yeah.
Mm. But I mean, 6-inch banner is nice because, like, it does.
Sure.
You don't. It's not like a normal banner where you have to be quite close to the front line, like she can be sitting much further back.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like, if this was play tested, which it is never going to be, we'd be able to see whether or not we'll move the change. Should we move on to
those models?
Yeah, when Mayor produces models, and we that makes a big bet.
He doesn't want to do.
We talk about the Kingdom of Khazad-Dum then. OT's
let's do it. Let's do it. This has gone through a couple of iterations, hasn't it? I think there were a few that were slightly
OP. A few tweaks. Yeah.
So you can read all that on stream. The army bonus is a bit rubbish, but it's the best I could come up with that linked fire and rock. I don't really know. Like, the Mountain Dweller bit I'm fine with, but the +2 to resist rolls against fire, I don't really know. I couldn't think of anything else that interacted with fire in SBG, so that was my best bet. Is there anything else with fire?
Being fire resistant, just generally.
It's just like the dragons and the set ablaze spell, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But I think having just a +2 to resist rolls is more themey than just saying they're fire resistant, because I feel like they just aren't fire resistant.
Yeah. Also, the Balrog kills them, so they definitely aren't fire resistant.
Very true.
Can the Uruks with a bomb brand set people online?
No. There are some rules in certain scenarios where you can have a flaming brand set fire to a building, but other than that,
anyway, we move on because that's the bit I'm like least happy with in the army, and I think hopefully it improves in there.
I think your army rule is very not weak, but it's kind of
so weak. It's so
weak. It doesn't add a lot.
No, it doesn't. But then I didn't know what else to do because, like, I picked the thing and then I ran with it, and like I wasn't going to.
Maybe you should have the thing where
quotes.
You can pick a warband and it can come on from like a piece of terrain that involves not woodland but rock in some way. Yeah, a ruin.
It should just come on from underground.
Yeah, just anywhere. Sure.
A mine. You should do a mine clap. They can appear anywhere on the board outside of 1 inch of an enemy, but you roll a dice, and on a 1, they get killed.
The whole warband just dies. Yeah.
Yeah. You just roll 1 dice.
Well, what you should do is
whole warband goes.
You put a token down. You put a token down wherever you want, and then every turn you roll a dice, and like on a 5 or 6, your guys come in there. On a 1, they just all die. And on any other result, it scatters like 2d6 inches as your guys.
The mine appears somewhere else.
Yeah, because they're like tunneling. They don't know exactly where they're going, so it could just come up.
They're like moles. They're just digging underground.
Yeah,
Isn't that the old 40k deep strike rule pre
deep striking dwarves?
don't
where you placed a model, you rolled 2d6 and a dice, and then if they landed somewhere they couldn't deploy, you just lost the unit.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that would be hilarious, and it could be really strong. Yeah, maybe if it's just like you get to pick 6 warriors and you do it with them. You don't get to pick like a whole warband because otherwise it could be.
What, they do it individually?
No, the 6 of them go together, but there's no hero involved. Oh my god! You can do it with every single model in your army.
Yeah. Every model in the army.
You have to roll individually. Yeah.
Anywhere
There's basically a swarm of dwarves mining underground, and they might just all pop up at any moment.
But they might not. You might sit in the game and just be like, "Oh no!"
Now we're getting into the meme list that we should have created. There we go. Right, come on.
Anyway, we move. First profile during the 4th. He's Hero of Valor, which I think is fair enough. He's all 3s largely. Strength 5. I don't know if he's a bit strong. I feel like he's all right.
Yeah, I think 5's fine.
He's fine.
I like the Stone Hammer. The Stone Hammer I was quite pleased with. I originally made it 15 points, but I thought that was a bit much. 200, it gives him Mighty Blow, which I think's fine. He's actually got it in his picture, so I think that's cool. Then his rules are where I think I have some justification to do, because I also need to explain what a lifelong bond means, which I know Onod hates, but has also used. So
I wanted to keep consistency of your rules. I felt like if I, in my elf list, include a rule you created specifically for the purpose, it is quite good. It's quite a good rule, though. It's my only. Yeah.
So basically, the rule with a lifelong bond is that as long as they're within 6 inches of each other, they can use each other's might, will, and fate as if it were their own. So, it's so and it also could be a complete clusterfuck if you've got 2 models. Anyway,
well, you just keep the 3 of them there, and basically no one will die because everyone's sharing each other's fate.
Yeah,
that's not quite how. Anyway. But then the other one I'm quite pleased with, Short Temper. I think it's quite cool because I think he's quite an angry bloke. So as soon as he gets wounded, he charges. The final bit is to do with Durin's Guard, and I basically created a unit called King's Guard, and you can upgrade them differently depending on which Durin is your leader. So if it's Durin 4, they reroll 1s in combat, and then there's a different rule for Durin 3. So the idea is, I think normally you're going to take one of them as your leader, probably not both, but basically you just have to grade which one based on which one's your leader. So that was my logic. But yeah, I'm fairly pleased with it. I think he's fairly safe. I think he's broadly based on like just an ordinary 120-ish point hero with 333 and stuff like that.
He's really good.
He's just like a slightly better Gimli, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got all the stats, all the right numbers where you want them. Every stat's just really strong. There's no stat where you're like, oh, that's the drawback I was looking for.
I think he's actually quite similar to Dane from Iron Hills in terms of like strength 5 and stuff like that.
Well,
anyway, I made him.
Got to get that Hobbit dig in there. I'm sitting here with my little like devil trident just poking. The beast.
There's no Burley though.
No. But I thought
which I think is good
because the original iteration was Stonehammer made him. It was Master Forge. But then I was like, why would a Stonehammer be Master Forge? That's stupid. So I took it off.
I think Strength 5, Mighty Blow, 2-handed weapon with Burley would maybe be.
Oh no, it wouldn't have had Mighty Blow.
Pretty good. Yeah.
But yeah, next one, Durin 3rd, which I'm actually more happy with than Durin 4. I think he's a slightly cooler profile. He's more or less based on Balin, but I changed a few bits around because I think Balin's pretty crap. I'm not sure if he should have 3 wounds, but yeah.
I think that's fine.
He gets Durin's axe, so I haven't put that in the profile, but basically it's a Master Forge 2-handed and lets you reroll 1 dice in the dual roll. Might be a bit strong. Might be about right. Not really sure.
His first rule is a massive nerf. It has to be said.
Yes. Also, I don't know if you looked at his heroics, but I managed to sneak one in there, and neither of you have noticed it yet.
Nice.
It's a callback.
Do we know what episode that's a callback to, though? Are we just going to leave it as people?
Look for the thumbnails. Look through Mayor's thumbnails.
Please watch the previous 16 episodes to try to work out where that's a reference to.
To get that in joke.
It's our made up rules podcast.
That one.
Mechanics
So
something. SBG.
It's actually
Onod will edit it in now.
Episode 9.
There you go.
Why would you even lie? You know that I'm not going to edit this at all because I have no time to speak.
It's true.
Anyway,
episode 9, which has almost our least views out of everything.
Wow.
So please do go watch it. Anyway, continue on.
Next one. So cautious.
Ding that bell.
Have a shit week. Anyway, cautious was something I sort of brooded over for a while. I think it's okay. Like, it captures the idea of being cautious, I think, but like it's pretty severe as a nerf. Like, no move, it's pretty brutal.
I think it's so big a nerf that he's actually too expensive.
Yeah, because like basically what I did is I made him a slightly better Balin and then I gave him that thing because actually I think his other rules are kind of a buff. Like, he gets like not mighty hero obviously, but he gets the ability to regain some might. It means on average,
what is he using that might on?
It's true.
Defense,
well,
I guess.
Heroic patience.
Yeah,
I don't really know. It's quite interesting. I think.
I guess if he's using them just to manipulate dice rolls, then
yeah.
But then he's not a combat beast, is he? So he's not really doing
he's not
that.
Meant to be. He's not meant to be.
No, I know. But where are you putting the might points then?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what this profile does. I mean, maybe you take off either move or combat from that nerf. I don't really know. But like, I just like the idea of like him not declaring anything reckless, like a move, a shoot, or a combat.
Can he just not benefit from others calling it?
No, because that's first I've done that with some other characters.
Because when he wants to move, he'll move, but he doesn't move when other people tell him to, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe help him a lot in combat, so he might get some use out of manipulating might points. Because if he's got a Master Forge axe, which allows him to reroll a single dice for making dual rolls, 2 attacks at 5/5 is actually more like 3 attacks in reality.
But he's effectively always got a banner is effectively what that means. So, yeah. I don't think he's bad. I think he's actually relatively fairly costed. But yeah, the elves thing, he just didn't seem to like elves, so I put that in. And then the final bit is his Durin's Guard thing, which is just slightly different to Durin 4, which was reroll 1s. If they're within 3, they get the banner thing, which is similar to yours. I think it's based on like the Red Shields upgrade from Erkenbrand. I think he can upgrade his Rights of Rohan to get that. So yeah.
I feel like that, because it's only 3 inches, that doesn't even need to be an upgrade. That can just be there.
No, because the idea is you upgrade the King's Guard differently depending on which Durin you have.
Oh, so they can both upgrade their own King's Guard.
Yeah, no, right. So only if they're the leader. So if Durin 4 is the leader, they get the reroll ones. If Durin 3 is the leader.
Why don't you have Durin's Guard for both of them, but whoever's the leader gets their version of it, like you're saying, but you don't have to have +1 points for it. You don't have to spend it on dudes. Because
the basic unit is quite strong. So I thought the upgrade needed a point. So we'll see when we come to them later.
But why don't you just absorb that into their inherent points cost, the leader?
Yeah, could do. But then I'd just make the unit one. But the idea is you have the choice. So you don't have to upgrade them, but you can do.
Sure, okay.
I think because of the nerf that you should drop him 10 points to be the same as Gimli.
Whoa, 100 points. I think he's quite strong for 100 points.
I don't think he is.
I think 100. I was thinking 10 points off as well, actually.
You lose so much utility in games by not having those 3. Like shoots, not that important.
Yeah.
Even then, you're never taking over during the 4th. And you're pretty much always going to take during the 4th, and then Deezer, because she has fucking 5 will. So
and you've given her a special rule where she could just give it to him.
Yeah. So
and he could give it to her as well because she's got spells.
Yeah, which is the most open thing when we get these, because she has magic essentially. So she has actually, in reality, she has more like 8 will. Let's just bear that in mind.
You're pretty much never taking Durin, basically.
Yeah. Which Durin? This is the problem. This is what I fucking ran into.
You're never taking Durin the third.
For breaking canon and fucking up my rules. Yeah, we'll drop him 10 points. I'm fine with that.
But yeah, I think 10 points cheaper and he's fairer. But because personally, I think I don't know, which rule is better, do you think? I feel like being in range of a banner. I mean, presumably, have you allowed your guys to take banners or no?
Yeah, banners exist.
Okay, so I'd probably take during the 4th as a leader easily. Get the reroll 1s to wound. Just take a normal banner, and then I mean just use during the 3rd as a hero of valor to get more dudes in if you need to. Because but the problem is, other than that, all of his other special rules, 3 out of 4 of the special rules. Well, sorry, two out of 4 are downsides, and now 2 out of 3 are downsides. His wisdom is basically just +1 might. Well, a bit more than that, but you know, so he's like
you can't spend
4.5 might, but you can't spend it on useful things. So, I mean, maybe even 100 points is too much. I don't know.
Or you give him a better heroic. Like you could. The problem is, I didn't want to give him like strike or something because that might be a bit. But you could give. No.
Why don't you just not cautious to being he can't call a heroic combat?
Yeah, maybe that's it.
But I like the idea too, but I think there needs to be something where you either give him better heroic actions than resolve and defense, or he gets something.
Well, you could replace patience with strike or something like.
He almost needs, because his actions are very defensive at the moment.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, and that's fine. But what you want is, because he's not a threat, so your opponent's not thinking, I'm going to kill him. He's not a threat. He's got nothing that they want to kill him for. He gets.
He could be the lead.
Well, yeah, he could be providing a banner, but so could any of your warriors who have a banner.
Do you want to make him 6-inch banner then for the 1 point upgrade, or is that too strong?
I don't know. I almost want, if I were playing him, I'd want more of a reason for my opponent to fear him or try to kill him, because he has these tools like resolve and defense to defend himself. So perhaps, is there a rule that he could be more active with in threatening that's not just being a banner? Because just being a banner doesn't feel like a reason for someone to want to kill. It has to be like the way you want to kill like a spectre or something that has transfix or you know, something
Gulliver.
Like make him Gulliver, yeah.
He can fly.
Give him flight, yeah.
Okay. Here's my workaround. You keep the cautious rule. He can't use his own might points to call those, but he does get Master of Battle. So he can only call a move if it's in reaction to someone else.
Yeah,
and he can only call a combat if it's in reaction to someone else.
Yeah.
So he's cautious in that he reacts.
He waits.
He doesn't. He isn't proactive. And then you can keep it 110.
Yeah,
because he can do all of that.
So is it just Master of Battle flat? Like
if you don't put a plus in, then it would just be he gets it.
Wow.
Wait, whoa. No, it needs to be like a 4+. He can't just. You just want him to call
4 up then.
Otherwise, he's more points, 110, definitely.
Well, I think it's quite fun though that you can't ever call a heroic action. Like,
he'll just call it back
unless he's within 6. But he's not.
I think it is. I think it needs to be 120 points then if he's going to do that.
Okay, do it as 4 up then.
Yeah.
I think do 4 up.
Final offer. Master Battle on a 3 up.
4 up. No, 4 up is generous. I think if you. So how are we going to do this? Because obviously the listeners, they're going to be like, oh no, it does say that rule the whole time you're talking about it. So we're going to do like an asterisk. We have added
leave the original. Leave the originals on screen, and then we can make changes in the future.
Sure.
Because otherwise they'll just be like, what are you talking about?
If people want and care, we can always link this. We can link it a PDF in if people want to see these. I very much doubt that people are going to want to access these.
Oh, are you not putting this image on screen?
I'll be putting this image on screen, but what I'm saying is if people want to see us changing and updating them, then we can quite easily just link a PDF in the description, because all we'd have to do is just share a link with anyone, and anyone who accesses the link can use it. It wouldn't be very much effort.
Okay. I think, sorry, just going back to during the third, if we add that he's got Master of Battle 4+, I feel like he's got a lot of rules. Could we just replace Ancient Wisdom with Master of Battle 4+? Ancient Wisdom.
Could you then? Well, if you want to get rid of Ancient Wisdom, I think you put Master of Battle at least at a 3+ then, because that's getting rid of one of his positive rules.
But this positive doesn't do anything.
Well, it does in the sense that you can use the might points to manipulate stuff, and heroic defense is actually quite useful on your leader. I know it's not as useful because he's defense 8, but you could still use that quite effectively to keep him alive. I feel like Master of Battle 4 up is fair though.
Okay, so do we just drop Ancient Wisdom completely and just put Master of Battle in instead?
Yeah, you could do.
4+.
Yeah,
4+.
Yeah,
I think
3+. I'm typing 3+, and one of you can change it if you want to.
Wow,
he's earned points then.
Well, one of the list of may or may not see those changes, but we're going to move on now to Disa.
This is my crowning glory. This is
the most controversial one. I'm just going to say it now.
So she's unarmed, which I think is quite cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Resolve and defense. I think again, like another defensive hero. Like I don't think she's going out there crushing skulls or anything like that. However, it's her special rules that are cause issues. Honestly, we fucking blasted through Numenor, and now just unload a week's worth of internalized rage.
We blasted through Numenor because Numenor is essentially just a load of profiles I took and then changed with like one rule. Yeah. And then you actually did create stuff from scratch, to be fair.
Yeah. So the seemingly innocuous rule at the top, a lifelong bond during, arguably breaks the game.
Yeah. Maybe. Because you just give her might points to him and his will points to her. And then they
just comes with 8 will.
Christ, yeah.
So Terrifying Chan, the names are bad, by the way. These are the improved version based on the original, but they are. So she can make friendly models within 3 cause terror. Within 6, I think is it called like Enchanted Blades or something where they can reroll wounds? I can't remember what it's actually called, but it's something like that where they can reroll wounds. And then Restoring Him is essentially just the Fury reroll on a 6, and she just spends a point of will to do those. So I don't know. I don't think
doesn't have to roll
stupid.
Like a normal magician to do these things.
No.
It just happens.
She's like a wood elf sentinel, but better.
But better. Or a spectre.
Defense 6 is quite high.
She's a dwarf. Basic dwarves are defense 6.
She never wears armor though.
No, she's got armor on.
Well,
in your profile.
Thanks to the sexism of
she's going to war.
Thanks to the sexism of Middle-earth strategy battle game, you'll know that all female characters automatically get 1 less defense than male characters. No, I feel like as a dwarf character, like fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for her to not. If you would prefer at D5, you can remove armor from the profile. Like, that's okay.
Can I just check what a dwarf ranger is? And a dwarf ranger has armor.
Dwarf ranger is a D5,
and they have armor.
They do.
Maybe she should be D5 if she has no armor.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I feel like because she's so powerful with her automatic.
Although
I don't think she's that powerful. I think she's strong. I don't think she's ridiculous.
You've given her dwarf armor, which is +3 defense. I mean, the main issue is that she gets the extra will from Durin.
Yeah.
But like, it's a really weird one to balance because if you didn't take Durin, she's probably fine. But then why would you take her if you're not taking Durin? because you'd
I
want to.
don't think any of her abilities break the game.
During the fourth, if you look at Gimli's profile, he's not 333. Gimli the fourth needs to be one less will, and maybe one less fates, maybe. Disa needs to be one might, not two, and arguably 4 will, not 5. Even 4 will. Especially when she can use someone else as well.
I said 5 wills too strong. It's like you just given her so much will. I think the original profile for this had her at 6, and I complained that made her as powerful as an Istari, and I was like, it
might even need to be 3.
You can't have her at 6.
She's not 3. I accept 4, but 3 is too low.
Okay, well 4 and Jura needs to be 2, not 3.
But like, I don't think her abilities are that bonkers. Like, aside from the spells, what's she giving you really?
They're auto spells.
It's really good. When you consider that some of the hero models that you're accompanying with her are going to be wounding on like 4s, and then she's given them the ability to re-roll. Like, you're essentially saying that
on 4s
during the 4th, when he has Mighty Blow with a 2-handed weapon, Strength 5.
Yeah.
He's going to wound on 4s on some heroes, and if he's wounding on 5s with rerolls, like he's going to be able to cut down some pretty strong characters.
Especially when he's also using her 2 might.
Yeah.
To add to that.
True.
That's why I think she needs to be.
I think 1 might 1. I think 1-4-2 is okay.
Okay, 1-4-2 for her, and I think during the 4th needs to be 3-2-3 or 3-2-2.
Why can't it just be they share fate? It doesn't need to be might and will. That's so good.
Can it be that they can only use 1 every turn, whether it's might, will, or fate?
Oh, that was how I intended it. I didn't mean they could use all of it. Maybe I worded that really badly.
Yeah, it needs to be once per turn. A model with this rule can use another model's might, will, or fate once per turn.
Might, will, or fate. Yeah.
One other model's might, will, or fate once per turn. Yeah, I think that's a lot more balanced.
That's quite good, but yeah, it's more balanced. The alternative with these would just be to give her the Wood Elf Sentinel songs, which are slightly more toned down versions of what you've got.
Yeah, that's more or less my base.
I like that it's cool. I like that it's good.
Rather than it being like all friendly models in 3 inches cause terror, it could just be 1 friendly model in 3 inches cause terror. Or like 1 model gets to reroll wings.
Well, that is it. It's not all models in 6. It's 1 friendly model within 6.
It says targets a. Oh, right, I see. Okay, that's good.
It wasn't everybody in 6. That would be insane.
Yeah.
I think with all these nerfs, she suddenly becomes a bit weak at 80 points. If she's D5, loses a might and a will.
But you're wrong. She's still really good for 80 points.
I don't think she is.
She's a mid-costed hero in a dwarf army that's giving them magic. She's essentially something that the dwarfs don't have, and arguably one of the things that they would be, out of the game in. Yeah, but this is magic at a level where the opponent can't resist it. Floyd's is just he negates a special rule. That's like a completely different thing. I feel like minor heroes.
You can make a minor if you want to. I think that's okay because I don't think she's like a big military leader. So yeah, that's themey. I don't mind that too much. So if anything, like basing on like Khazad-Dum, which is more or less where I got the idea from, like. Khazad-Dum is minor as well. He should be
minor, hasn't he?
Yeah. And he should be fortitude more than she should. So yeah, that's fine.
Right, should we continue on?
Captain of Khazad-Dum. They're just based on normal dwarf captains.
Yeah.
Except they got a 2-handed axe and they get +1 courage. I changed the courage rule, because Onod was so angry. I rewrote it twice and I reached this one, which I'm happy with. While it's broken, they get +1 courage. Which I think's all right.
Do you want to tell the reader what it was originally, which is why I was so angry?
They can never flee the battlefield due to a failed courage check.
Could you imagine playing this army with that rule, and it being you have to get your opponent to 25% broken, which is already pretty fucking tough with dwarves, and then having to slog through with the fact that they can never fail their courage. It would
ruin tournaments. You'd have to change the time frame completely. Be like 20 turn games. But anyway, that was the early iteration.
Good, yeah. So it's now much better. Yeah.
Next one, Captain of the King's Guard. And these are the ones that I think might be slightly OP, but they might be okay. So have a look.
I think they're fine.
I think they're fine.
You need to make the weapon swap for it, though.
Sorry?
The weapon swap, where you swap their two-handed axe for a dwarf axe for +1 attack. Should just be the same because they get burly by default. So it's either +1 attack or +1 to wounds. I think.
But I thought 3 attacks with the Durin's buff might be a bit much. I don't really know. Like three attacks is almost. It's not always better.
But then it should cost more to do that rather than minus. Does that say -5 points?
No, it costs 5 points.
Okay.
I mean, it costs 5 points. Yeah. So that was my logic. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's just a slightly unique captain. Like they're a bit like the Iron Hills captains. In terms of like the power I was aiming for. They're a bit different, but yeah, 200 burly feels quite powerful. Yeah, no issues with those. Good, off we go. Mining captain. These are, I think,
this is a treasure. This is the best profile of the game. I love the mining dwarfs that we came up with there. Oh, chef's kiss.
I just love the idea of a bunch of burly blokes with pickaxes running around chucking stones at people. It would just be so good. Yeah, so they're based on again dwarf captains. They lose the defense, but they get better shooting value, and they have throw stones.
They do. If we give the viewers some background to throw stones, we were contemplating giving them throwing weapons, and then me and OT, when we were creating these, were like, why don't we give them throw stones? Go to the highest strength and just a rule because they're miners. I kind of love the idea though of just giving someone other than a fucking hobbit or troll throw stone.
Yeah.
Why? If anything, it should really be a rule that anyone in the game can use. It's so bizarre that the only race in the entire universe that thinks of stooping to pick up a stone is either a hobbit, an ent, or a troll, and
maybe,
no one else.
Maybe it's they have to be really big so they can pick up a big stone, or really small so they low down to pick up a small stone. But nobody in the middle has thought I could pick up a stone.
I just had a great thought. You know when we were doing Defenders of Helm's Deep Legendary Legion.
Yeah, they should be able to throw stones.
They should be able to throw stones because they do that in the film.
Yeah,
Did we say that in the episodes? I
think we might have done. I think there was. I think when we were talking about the throwing weapon. Yes, when we were talking about the throwing weapons with the spears, you were like they should be able to throw stone.
Okay,
Mayor has once again completely zoned out and is just trying his best to ignore our shit chat because he hates mining captains.
Entered Mayor's level of memory though. Just want to clarify. Mayor, what do you think of dwarfs being able to throw stones?
I think it's hilarious. I think they should be a 5+ shoot value though.
Oh, 5+ shoot.
Well, we've never seen them. We never seen them throw any stones, and I'm pretty sure they'd be shit if they did. They're fine with throwing axes. Maybe they should just have like a penalty to throw stones.
3+ might be a bit good. I think 4+ though. I'm not sure about.
Yeah, maybe I'm exaggerating. I think it would just be hilarious that they can do it, but that they're shit at it. I think that would be more funny to me.
I think 4 up OT. I don't know where you got 3 up from because 3 up is the range.
They're based on dwarf rangers. That was
but the rangers are meant to be good at shooting. Like these guys are just miners.
But these guys are great with stones.
That's true.
They're good at cutting stones.
Wow, they throw them as well after they've cut them.
Yeah, I know. I think maybe OT on this one.
I think 4 is fine.
I think that a dwarf just innately understands how any stone works.
Nice.
They're like a sniper.
Maybe part of the army bonus. Part of the army bonus, because it's stones, should be they improve their shoot value when throwing stones by +1.
It's the most pointless army bonus ever. If a dwarf can throw stones, they get +1 to shoot, and it's just pointless.
It just feels like an army bonus.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. It is the only ranged option they have, though.
It is the only ranged option they have, throw stone in the entire army.
And they can't move to do it as well. So
Yeah,
anyway, moving on. So
the King's Guard.
The King's Guard. These are based on Khazad-Dum.
That was such a long pause. That was like 5 seconds.
It wasn't. Can you still hear me?
Oh, I'm gonna.
I think you just passed out. I wasn't that long.
I think I might have blacked out for a second.
I think there's actually a term for that. Hang on.
A term for what? Getting old? Losing your mind?
Yeah. No, I think there's like a thing.
Oh well, you've got to edit this, so it's not my problem.
I think there's like a
condition.
No condition. Like phenomenon where people feel like a moment lasts forever.
Right. Is it listening to this?
I feel like I'm getting that moment now, yeah.
I mean, Mayor, you're permanently living in that because you have a sausage memory.
For fuck's sake. You post one meme twice and suddenly it's my whole personality.
It's not even a meme.
Posted it more than twice.
It wasn't a meme to start with. It was a serious post that you did twice within 10 minutes. And that's the meme. The image isn't a meme. It was just a fucking screenshot.
Right, why did these King's Guard come with Burley? That's what I want to know.
Because they're based, as I was explaining, on Khazad-Dum.
But they don't come with Burley, do they?
Well, they do after they get the upgrade to go from 11 to 13.
Yeah, but you have to take Durin to do that.
You do.
Yeah, whereas they get it free here. So
they do.
So these guys are just flat out. But you can just.
But they don't get bodyguard. They don't get bodyguard.
They're also 2 points more expensive.
But with the Burley upgrade, so normal Khazad-Dum without Burley are 11. With the Burley upgrade, they're 13, which is what these guys are based on.
Okay,
and they don't get bodyguards.
They don't get bodyguards. They get.
I still think you're just taking on these, aren't you?
Yeah, you probably would spam them as much as you can.
Two-handed Burley with that stat line is just.
Wait till you see the Miners of the Deep stat line, though. Hold on a moment, Mayor. There's a much more spammable army. Yeah. 3+ shoot. Throw stones with strength 3. Thank you.
Wait, we're getting up to that later. Save the gems to later. Oh, sorry. Honestly. I mean,
they throw gems now?
Nice. +1 damage.
+1 damage.
You have to spend real life currency to do it.
If you pay 5,000 in the workshop, they can throw mithril.
There's a microtransaction system.
Beautiful. Chef's kiss. Lovely.
Okay, we're massively derailing here. We've lost all direction.
Was there any direction to begin with?
I am happy for these guys to go up to 14 if you want them to, because I think that might be a bit more balanced.
13 is a fair points value, but I don't like that you can just take as many as you want, whereas with the Khazad-Dum, you're limited to Durin's Warband.
With the
I think 20 points. Really
also, what do you think of the upgrade to give them 2 axes to give them +1 attack? How do you feel about that?
And again, it's going to be +1 point before you.
I don't think it needs to be there. I don't think it needs to be there.
What, at all?
No.
It just
actually, exist. For 14 points. So for 14 points, you're getting a stat line that is better than a Berserker and cheaper.
But you don't get the Berserker blade.
But no, but a Berserker's also not Burley. So the Berserkers, if the Berserker blade is, is being used.
But a Berserker's 2 attacks.
Yeah.
But then that means they lose the Burley effect with the 2 axes.
Yeah, but Berserkers aren't Burley either. So Berserker, because it's a hand and a half, Berserker's using the same stat profile, except the Berserker being Courage 7 doesn't matter because you're actually fearless if you're within 6 of your leader, which is better than being Courage 7. In some circumstances. For as long as your leader's alive and you're within 6, apparently. No, it's not flat out better. It's maybe a bit worse, but I think.
But then also, I would argue Berserkers are overcosted. I don't think a Berserker's worth 15 points.
I don't know. I think they probably are.
I
think this is right. I think it's right.
So if they were two attacks, there'd be 14 points. There'd be move 5, fight 4, strength 4, defense 7, attacks 2, wounds 1, courage 4. They'd have the unbreaking loyalty rule, and they would have Birdie, which is no longer useful. They'd be 1 point cheaper than the Iron Guard, who would defense 6.
But
I think Iron Guard is shit.
Iron Guard have
shit, and they have throwing axes.
Throwing axes. So is defense 1 the equivalent of a throwing axe?
I'd say a throwing axe is worth more than 1 defense. Throwing weapons are good.
Yeah.
But then they have the unbreaking loyalty special rule.
Yeah. I mean, I think Iron Guard could be 14 points.
I think that would then make the fact that you can take as many as you want more balanced. I think in the context of the army, considering how strong your heroes are, I think 14 points is fine.
Anyway, let's move on to see what
we're
the rest
nitpicking because they're very good profile.
Khazad-Dum warrior. He's just a normal bloke. He's fairly strong. He's basically a normal dwarf warrior, but +1 defense, 2-handed for an extra point. I don't know.
I think you did well to stave off of making him strength 4 and making him.
Oh, he was never going to be strength 4. He was never going to be strength 4. That would have been a lot, and that would again just be Khazad-Dum. So, but my idea is with this is everybody either has a 2-handed axe or 2 axes. Essentially, is my logic. Like I didn't want anybody with shields because we didn't see anybody with shields. I mean, to be fair, we saw nobody with 2 axes either, but I thought that was cool. So.
I would fucking love a model of these though. Oh, that helmet.
Yeah.
The fucking metal.
Yeah. Oh. They're so stumpy. They're so sturdy.
I really
bet
hope
you could push them over. If you tried, no chance you could push them over.
I really hope
center of gravity.
I really hope someone 3D prints these. I'd be so tempted.
Well, I mean, Mare is official model producer for our upcoming rule set. So watch this space. Yeah, Miners of the Deep, and these are
best profile in the game.
Roof of the Sistine Chapel. It doesn't get any better than this. They're a dwarf ranger, but they can't take throwing axes. They can't take a bow. But what they can do is reach down, pick up a stone, and chuck it 8 inches.
And they've got a 2-handed pick as well.
They do.
The rare use of the pick in the game.
Yeah.
It's a thing of beauty. I think knock them down to 6 points just to force people to take them.
Like Muriel.
You have to take them because they're so cheap. It's like I don't really want them, but they're so cheap.
Why would anyone take them for the meme?
Because
they're amazing. They're beautiful.
They need to be 7 points.
Oh, they'd be very good at 7, wouldn't they? They'd be very good.
There are 2. They have to have a 2-handed. They have to strike with 2-handed. Maybe they should be fight 3 because they're a minor. But otherwise, you are
forgetting that if they're taken with a mining captain and that he's been they re-roll their throw stones, which would actually make these throw stones at strength 3 quite potent,
quite lethal.
It would. They need to be 4 to hit. Yeah.
You could make like a little barrier of like, don't come within 8 inches of this bitch, or I will fucking drill you with these stones.
Because I briefly tried to come up with some kind of like siege engine that was based around throwing stones, but I couldn't make anything work in the theme.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them. They're beautiful. They are beautiful.
I do like the mining profile. I think it's quite fun. Yeah.
I would love to take this army. I think it would be a lot of fun.
It'd probably be quite good too.
Yeah, it would. But yeah, that's me done. I think dwarves should be fight 4 because all dwarves, as far as I'm aware, in SBG are Fight 4, so I don't think they should be
fair.
3. But yeah,
I think it's the shoot value that should be a 4, but there we go.
Yeah, I
Well,
suppose also because they can't move, I guess that is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was bouncing around the moving, but yeah.
But I mean, 2.5 inch move and being able to shoot is not that good at all. So
yeah,
that's
true.
If viewers would like to see these profiles, let us know in the comments, because I suppose we could at the end of this fucking shit show.
Yeah,
let's get a PDF for people to use if they want. I'm not really sure that Rings of Power was popular enough for people to want, though, to be honest.
Could we put it behind the paywall?
Of them?
True, people are making them. It is actually more fun creating profiles than it was watching. I think our imagination has taken Rings of Power and started to turn it into what we want it to be.
Mine's just a lot of burly blokes with pickaxes throwing stones, as it turns out. That's my fantasy.
That is your fantasy, yeah. Fantastic.
I didn't know. And thank you, Rings of Power, for making me realise that.
So news.
Oh, we're starting again, are we?
Yeah. So news. I thought we'd quickly mention Star Wars Shatterpoints, which is the new skirmish game Star Wars. I think it was actually announced before last week, but I wasn't aware of it. They've made the decision to do a new miniatures line in a different
scale.
To Legion, which is a big oof, isn't it?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Because it's not just that you have to buy different miniatures; it's that you need different scale scenery. And I feel like until I read that, I was like, I might actually this might tempt me. Yeah, because if they release rules for the Mandalorian, and I could have Mando and Grogu. I don't know who would be in their warband, but some fucking shit.
Ahsoka Tano?
I don't think it's all hero. I think it's you have a hero and then their followers. But it's based on Clone Wars, which I think is a good choice in terms of variety.
Yeah.
But I think that why would you change it from Legion?
They look so big as well. They're
to make money.
Do they
apparently it's 40 mil scale from what I've seen. So they're going to be not quite double the size of 28 mil, but they're going to be significantly chunkier.
They look way more detailed. Everything looks a lot flimsier. You can tell they're a lot larger scale.
The lightsabers look like they're going to snap.
They do.
My take from it. Yeah.
I don't think. I'm definitely not going to go for it, even though I have Star Wars Legion already. I mean, you can probably just play this with your Star Wars Legion figures.
That's true, actually. Yeah, there's nothing stopping you from home ruling and just playing Star Wars Legion because, do you remember that GW game called Inquisitor, which had 54mm scale miniatures?
Right.
We did play it, but clearly you have forgotten.
Is this the RPG game?
Yeah, it's like an RPG, but you still move the miniatures around.
Yeah.
So, everyone plays it at 28 mil, and they just call it Inquisitor 28. So, you could just do that with this at Legion, and actually, that's probably more tempting than what is currently on show. The thing that I thought the biggest miss with this is, and I understand from a marketing perspective that they want to include the characters, but I think skirmish games are way more interesting if you have customization and it's your own dudes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want Darth Maul in my warband. I just want it to be 10 regular droid or stormtroopers. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think that's boring.
But that's what Kill Team.
I was about to agree with you.
But this isn't Kill Team where there's just a random squad of dudes. Clone Wars is all about the characters.
But do you not think it's weird that there's only going to be 5 models on the board and 4 of them are going to be the main characters from Star Wars in every game?
In Clone Wars, surely there's capacity to make your own squad and make them unique. That's what Bad Batch was about, for instance.
But that's not. Yeah, but that's not what this game's about. This game apparently is your leader is going to be a main character. you will have a like lieutenant who is like going to be a secondary but also main character. So Anakin will have Ahsoka as his lieutenant, and then they will have a couple of stormtroopers as their not stormtroopers, clone troopers as their regular dudes, and that's your warband. I feel like skirmish games benefit from customization and doing stuff like with your own.
But you'll probably be able to give, you know, like, so kill team, you can give each person.
Sure. I imagine that I can give Anakin some sort of fancier lightsaber.
Well, I'm thinking you'll give like
no,
a clone,
that's probably not going to be a thing.
A clone, a grenade, or a comms pack, or a gun upgrade.
Fancier lightsaber.
Well, that really was another episode of.
There's so little getting away from the fact that it was another episode.
Join us next week where we discuss 2 more armies of Rings of Power. Well, join us next week where we'll be looking at 2 more Rings of Profile armies we have come up with. We're going to be looking at elves and Army of the Southlands.